Hello, here we are. Don't know if you've ever been in my kitchen at this house. Check out that really nice border. Okay, so I was writing that I am going back to a stricter food budget this year. That when we were in Asheville, we had a whole bunch of financial pay cuts and got ourselves in a little bit of a tricky spot, like a lot of people found themselves. And, we were committed to do everything we could not to incur any debt. So that mostly meant that I had to do whatever I could. And I ended up figuring that a $60 food budget was something that was a workable food budget that still allowed me to buy the quality of food most of the time that I wanted to be able to serve the kids. Since coming back here, well, we actually don't make more money. Our house is cheaper, so our cost of living is less. And I've been able to relax a lot, and there was a lot of freedom and feeling like, ooh, this is so much less stressful. But a couple of things happened that I didn't really feel great about. Number one, I was not making as great of food choices when I went shopping, and I was not meal planning, I was not being as deliberate, and we have had tons of food waste. Food waste was a major problem for me as a house manager, I guess, when we lived in Ann Arbor, when we had unlimited money to spend on food, and I did. I spent probably like $200 at least a week on food. I bought steaks. I bought all sorts, whatever I felt like. And we had a pretty much, at that time, like a real strong serving of protein at every meal. When you go to $60, you don't do that. That is number one. You definitely have a meat as an accent to your meal, which, it's funny. Everyone has their different idea of which of those things is the right thing. And at that time when we were in Ann Arbor, I was really in favor of having a really small, well, not small, but like a 3/4 serving of like starch and a bigger serving of protein, and feeling like that was the healthier balance. But when we went to Asheville and I had to up it to a more like a half portion of protein and double the portion of starch, I didn't gain weight, people. So, I gained weight when we came back here, and I could buy whatever I wanted, and I went back to buying a lot more impulse buys, and I'm going to count for you right now how many boxes of cereal we have in our pantry. Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 boxes of cereal. At least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those are opened, probably stale, weird old cereals, and 5 of them one is unopened, and the other 4 are in-use cereals. So when we were in Asheville, we had like a box of cereal, and when it was gone, I bought another box. So it's things like that, things that you don't necessarily think. Each time you buy something like that, you're like $3. It all adds up, and then it becomes waste, and you're still buying more. So that is one thing. Also, when we got onto the $60 food budget, now I had been meal planning before that happened, when we were in Ann Arbor at the end of our stay there. And then in Asheville, in order to do 60, you have to have a meal plan, so you know what you're going to buy, and then you have to buy just those things. And so I had zero food waste. When I cooked dinner, I am a serve it at the stove style person, not a bring it to the table, because then you in better control of your portioning. But when we were in Asheville, what I would do is, if I was cooking something that served 6 servings or 8 servings or whatever it was, especially if you're doing like a casserole or a chili or one pot thing, when I'm serving the plates, the first thing I do is serve the containers I'm going to save it in. So if I know I've got 2 extra servings, I immediately serve those first into a container, leave them to cool on the counter while we're eating dinner. Or if I'm making a double batch and I'm putting one in the freezer, do that first. That way you're not going to come up and have seconds and then eat out of the food that you're saving for a different purpose. Like, all your food has to be accounted for, and you sticking to eating a reasonable, decided, not too little food, but like a decision. Like, you're not going to come up for seconds. You're going to serve a healthy, good size portion of food that is the right amount of food, and that's it, you know. Other thing with meal planning. Meal planning only works for you if you work with your meal plan. So you can be like super rigid about what days you're going to make things. I think that doesn't work. I think it's better to just keep in mind when things need to be used by, and have a little flexibility of what things you can make on different days. If you set yourself up to too rigid of a system, food, you might not cook it in time. Alright, I gotta go. I'll be back. Okay, it's been a couple weeks. I'm back. I was just talking about meal planning, and I think I can follow where I was at with that. You want meal planning to be your friend. Work with your meal plan. Don't be super rigid, but I will say in the beginning, don't reinvent the wheel for your family. This is not the time when you're trying to save money to try to come up with, you know, elaborate new meals. This is a time to think about what are the most budget conscious meals you already make, and start with that. Get like a little bit under you before you start branching out. Things that I have found to be my best friend. Rotisserie chicken. I can get the quality rotisserie chicken I want at Whole Foods on sale on Tuesdays for the same price as a rotisserie chicken at like a, you know, big normal grocery store. Rotisserie chicken is easily enough for 4 to 5
Mama,
meals for me.
Mama,
What?
where's the yellow pencil?
I don't know. Look. Here's an orange one. So,
Here it is.
you know, when you bring it home, it's much easier to get all the meat off of it when it's warm, rather than think you're going to put it in the fridge and deal with it later. Put that in a container, and then you've got something ready to add into meals. You can add that into tacos, you can add that into pasta dishes, you can add that into like a stir fry, or, okay, thanks. Whatever you want. So, that's your friend. One pot meals or casseroles or things like that, pasta dishes, are also your budget friend. Pasta is a huge meal stretcher, and I find it to be cheaper than rice. I mean, because for me, organic rice isn't really that cheap. What else? And if you're not doing organics, please check out your international food aisle. You're going to get a lot cheaper rice there in the Mexican food section than you are. Same thing with canned beans, spices. Don't overlook that. What else? So those things are key. So think about things that everyone likes to eat, make those things first, and then work on that. You know, if that was successful, do it again. You know, you don't need to go crazy. If you're trying to save money, focus on what your goal is. Serving healthy meals and saving money. I don't have tape. It's in there or it's in the playroom. So yeah, rotisserie chicken for us, super, super duper friend. I also will get ground meat if it's turkey. I did that a lot in Nashville. These days I'm going to Whole Foods and buying a big bulk package of grass-fed, pasture-raised beef, and then I will come home and make 2 pounds of meatballs and cook up 3 pounds of seasoned ground meat and put it in half-pound packages, and that way I can quickly add that to spaghetti sauce or put it in a baked ziti, mix it with black beans for taco filling, things, because one key to saving money is you want your food. What you don't want to do is set yourself up to be on having a bad day and like overwhelmed by what you need to make. So for me, I find it easiest to have meals that are like the meat is ready to go and I can just put on a pot of water, be making rice or pasta, and then like throw it all together, and I don't have to be spending more than half an hour in the kitchen. I don't have tape. You'll have to look for it in the playroom. So that's my other tip. And also, as I was saying about serving the things, if your meal is a 6-person meal, make sure you set aside those other portions or whatever for your lunches. That's huge. So Mr. F and I will eat leftovers, or the kids will eat leftovers, and I'll also get some lunch meat for making a few sandwiches. Lunch meat, like if you're not paying attention, that's like a massive waste of money if you let that stuff go badly. So definitely, you know, it takes a little time, but it's good if you have a little ballpark idea of what you're going to do for your lunches also. And those are my tips. Reduce your choices for breakfast, plan your dinners, and think out how you're going to handle your lunches. Leftovers for sure is like planned. It's much cheaper to cook a meal for 6 or 8 people and get 2 or 4 lunches out of it than it is to cook for 4 people and then make lunches. You know what I mean? Like, the cost differential in doubling your recipe isn't usually double the cost. So those are my main tips. Also, we have like milk or water or coffee as our beverages. And reducing choices. And for splurging, if you want to have desserts and stuff, that's the kind of thing where, like, if I saw brownie mix on sale for $1, I would buy 10 boxes of it and always be able to have something. You don't want to be like going without, but you just want to be planned ahead enough that you can have what you need, but not more than you need, and stick in your budget. And I think it's doable. And I also really recommend, if you haven't done it before, there's a book called Family Feast for $75 a week, or on $75 a week. And I don't always like books like that, but it actually had a lot of good information and a lot of good recipes. So something to check out. All right.